little tight. Okay, now moving on to the main event for this evening, which is the Environment Team's Showcase. I'm going to say no more at that point, apart from welcome to Luke to introduce the presentation.
Super, thank you so much, Richard. Can everyone hear me okay? Just nod if you can.
Good.
Yeah.
Great, and can I just ask, Ian, can you give the account that says Luke's laptop, can you give that one host rights so that I can share my screen, as I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I'd like to run alongside this if possible. Let me just see if it's working. Okay, super. Brilliant. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming today. Let me just get this started. Okay, everyone should be able to see a screen that has, there we are. Super. So my name is Luke. As previously mentioned, I am the chair of the Environment Committee for Winchester Rotary, working alongside Dom, Phil, and Mike Billington. We have been working very hard at the moment on the Environmental Committee. When I was asked by Richard to first run this showcase, I was a little bit nervous because I thought, well, looking at this year itself, there's not really much that we can talk about and show, I guess. But then as I thought about it a little bit more, I realized that from stepping into my role as the environmental chair last year to now, there has actually been a very interesting story. And I felt like I should use this opportunity to share the story of the Environmental Committee with you all, as well as some of our most recent achievements and upcoming future plans. So the story so far, I took over the Environment Committee in 2019 in September, and I've now been joined by Phil Jennison, Mike Billington, and Dom Hiscock, as I mentioned, but there's still room for more. So if anyone is interested, you are very welcome to join us. Since I started the role, I realized that there wasn't really any meaningful connections between Winchester Rotary and any environmental organizations around Winchester, of which there are many. So straight away, I sent emails out and connected to WINAC, which is Winchester Action on Climate Change, Friends of the Earth, Plastic Free Winchester, Extinction Rebellion, Hampshire Climate Action Network, First Bite, and many more. I spent the first month of my role mostly meeting with people in Winchester, and what a long time ago it feels to have been meeting people in person. I'm sure we all lament on that very much. Through these meetings, I somehow landed a part-time job with WINAC, which is another story in itself. Through these meetings, I was invited to attend a Climate 2050 meeting, which was being held at the Guildhall by councillors Linda Murphy, Paula Ferguson, Hannah Williams, who are local councillors that were doing work for the environment. At the meeting, there was lots of local groups and organisations, and they were basically discussing Winchester's role in the current climate emergency. And there was a big emphasis on hearing from local people. And the discussion and the direction of the meeting was really very interesting. Through WINAC and now as an employee, we set up an event in October called Riding Sunbeams. The event was about a local solar powered train line, and speakers of the event explained how the railway through Winchester may soon draw on local solar energy, and then discussed what actions local and central government could take to stimulate renewable energy projects across the country. The event saw Community Energy South, Basingstoke Energy Services Co-op, and then councillors from the Winchester Council talking about the environment and transport. And while at the event, I was able to talk to organisations as well as local people about projects, events, things that they were doing in the local community, and obviously about the climate emergency that we are all currently in. Following the event, WINAC gathered supporters and new members and organised the first meeting of the WINAC Renewables Energy Group in January 13th, which is still running. And that was the underlying aim of the Riding Sunbeams event. So we can be very happy to know that by helping them, we helped WINAC to move forward as well. Not long after that, I met with Bruce White from Community First, who's part of the Winchester Food Partnership, alongside Sam Watts, who you'll know through Incredible Edible. He told me about a meeting they were holding in the Discovery Centre called Access to Good Food. Ian Valentine and his wife Chris joined me at this meeting, and other members around the table were members of Stepping Stones Nursery, Basics Bank, Winchester City Housing, University of Winchester Vegetarian Society, Fair Trade, and First Bite. We had a really interesting discussion about food and Winchester and what local food organizations exist and what needs there are. And from that meeting, I was then put onto the Winchester Food Partnership Steering Committee as a representative for youth and for Rotary. I've been meeting with the Hampshire Climate Action Network, which also includes the above mentioned organizations as well. I connected with the University of Winchester Vegetarian and Vegan Society, which has got a brand new round of students now this year. It's a society of students who've come to University of Winchester and obviously are vegetarians and vegans and are environmentally minded. So they're setting up events, projects, meetings, film screenings, and everything you can imagine. So they've been a really interesting network to connect to. As well as that, I visited some of Winchester's sustainable and ethical cafes and restaurants to learn about how they work, such as Open House Deli, First Bite, Warberry, the 40 Tea Kitchen, and through the Winchester Food Partnership, I've been able to connect with many more. We were also able to join with the Winchester Litter Picker Society. We helped them out for many litter picks, and we even got them a regular picker, Sue English. We were able to give them some funding towards some new grabbers and some new picks. And as well as helping them out, they gave us one of those grabbers and they gave us a vest, which now lives in the Rotary cupboard, which is available for any Rotarian who ever wants to help them on a litter pick, which they usually do on Monday mornings. Not long after that, working with a student from the University of Winchester, we connected to a local organization called Rising Forests. We were able to plant saplings at the base of a hill by the cafe just next to St. Catherine's Hill. And we were joined by members of Winchester Rotary Club. Oh, I think Tony Jordan, sorry to call on you, but I think that your audio is being fed out live. If you could just mute it, would be great.
Will do.
Thank you. No worries. So here are some photos of the Winchester Rotary Club and Rotarians who came along to help us on that day. I helped with the Winchester Climate Crisis Alliance, who on the 25th of November, the Winchester Climate Crisis Alliance was WINAC, Friends of the Earth and Extinction Rebellion, who joined together to organize the Climate Hustings 2019, which was held in the church in Drury Street. And they held the event, made local paper. It was a really interesting evening to hear about the candidates and the environmental approaches and need in politics. So what next? At the start of this year, after all the work that we did to connect with organizations and get our name out there as an organization that strongly supports the environment, I then decided it was time to start building the committee and looking to start events and projects of our own. The committee was then joined by Phil Jennison, Julian English, and Dom Hiscock, and then later by Mike Billington, once he had some time to relax after stepping down as president. We got together and realized that the best way to move forwards, as the environment is such a broad theme, was to make a survey for the club to see what you would want us to focus on. We felt this is very important because we didn't want to just decide on something random between us. We wanted all our environmental focus to come from within the club first. So we sent out a survey, not to name and shame. However, when we sent the survey out, only 18 members of the whole club did the survey, which, though it was a little bit disappointing, was certainly a reflection of the work that we have ahead of us, not just in the local community, but obviously within our own club. Within this survey, we included questions such as, what do you think of when you hear of the word environment? What should Winchester Rotary do specifically for the environment? And then one of the third question, which 3 important environmental issues would you like us to work on? And some of these responses included things like recycling and waste, wildlife and nature, climate, renewable and green energy, food, supporting local interventions and organizations, as well as many others. And then obviously recycling and waste gained 14 votes, wildlife and nature were 7, and climate were 7. So we had a clear winner, which was recycling and waste, and we decided that that would be our focus for this upcoming year. However, despite our determination and all our efforts over the next few months, a little thing you may have heard of called COVID-19 disrupted all of our lives and our plans, and it soon became increasingly difficult to organize, contact, or run anything that was focused specifically on recycling and waste. All of the committee had gone out and come up with ideas for local initiatives, for events of our own. We'd reach out to the waste and management manager of the council, and we had some really good ideas, but a lot of the responses that came back were ultimately that right now it's just not a very good time, or there's just not a project in place, or the thing that was in place actually isn't happening yet. So we had a meeting and we decided to kind of review where we were at. So we agreed that we need to take a step, not backwards, but to the side, to try to redetermine our strategy as an environmental committee. We started to discuss whether we might have picked something that was so niche that we were going to struggle to effectively do anything with it. Just covered that bit. There we are. So we decided to take the environment on a much more broader approach for the following year. And we decided to look how we can support local organizations. I've realized that half has been cut out, but don't worry because I remember what I wrote. We decided that we were going to support local organizations. So look at how we can start supporting organizations that are working for the environment already. And we start to look internally at ourselves to see what our kind of focus and contribution in the environment can be, and decide what our role is going to be. Are we going to be a funder, an educator, a facilitator, or something else? What exactly are we trying to do for the environment within Winchester? So we've opened up a little bit more now. So we took the idea of a single theme of recycling and waste, which is still, we're not going to throw it away. We're still very keen to do that. But instead, we want to open up now these next few months and be a lot more broader, a lot more open with the environmental support that we can give. Which brings me on to a very exciting initiative that we agreed on at our last meeting. We've decided to run the title is under construction, but Winchester Rotary Club Environment Committee Local Environment Grant or Fund. So what this essentially is, Hannah Williams, one of the local councillors that I mentioned earlier, ran a sustainable environmental conference at the university last year, where they had around 15 local schools come to the university, and they ran a really, really interesting environmental conference. When I was connecting to Hannah, something that we agreed on was that we could, as an environment committee, create a kind of competition for the best school project, and then fund that small project in the local school, and therefore sort of helping the environment of Winchester. That environmental conference obviously won't be happening this year, but this idea then evolved into a wider idea whilst talking to the environmental committee on a recent meeting, that maybe we could use this idea to fund local small community projects. So we're hoping to be able to put in up to £5,000 of funding for small local projects. We'll have a detailed criteria and a selection process, which will ensure projects are sustainable. And we'll be able to offer local projects funding. But secondly, and then most importantly, as we are Rotary, we can offer our time. So any project that comes through, whether it's something like tree planting or something in the community that needs some funding, where it also may need help, that's what we can offer as well. So the idea is still under construction, but we need all the help we can get. So if you're interested in being involved, you don't have to join the committee, but you're just interested in being involved in general, then we'd love to hear from you, and we'd really like to involve you in this exciting new initiative that we are moving forward with. So recently we held one of our very first in-person events, socially distanced, of course. Thanks to Dom, we were connected to Dave and Anna, who were connected to the St. Giles Hill graveyard. We went down and did some restoration work and looked after the area with some tools, got to know each other and got to learn a little bit about the history of the local area as well. Thanks to this, we are hoping to have another one. It went very well. It's the kind of project that can be done socially distanced. It's not there's no cap on the number of people who can do it because it's a service. So we're hoping that we'll be able to do that again in the future. And we made the local paper as well. So hopefully everyone in Winchester spotted us on the, not quite the front page, but somewhere in the Hampshire Chronicle and Daily Echo after we did that project. Alongside the Environmental Committee, as many of you know, I'm working as the District Rotaract Chair as well. So with my Rotaract hat on, we've been working towards setting up a District Rotaract group. We've got several members of the District 1110 Rotaract Action Group, who've been meeting regularly, Rotaractors from Southampton, Bishop's Waltham, Winchester, and further afield. And we've created a district-wide Rotaract group. We've agreed that our themes for the year are going to be the environment and mental health. And so on the environmental theme, what we're doing this week on Wednesday, we will be going to one of our members' companies, which is called Easy Teasy Meals, as you'll see in the bottom right. She set this company up herself. It uses surplus food to create small meal boxes for the community. And we'll be going on Wednesday to help pack lots and lots of meals that will be sent out across the community of Southampton. And then afterwards, we'll be going to Aldermore Community Farm, which, if you haven't heard of, do a quick Google search after this. They're a very, very interesting local community farm. And that's what we're doing on Wednesday. So we're bringing in the district Rotaract group into our environmental actions as well. Right, now a little rest from my voice. I'd like to introduce Ros Scammell. Ros was the past president of Christchurch Rotary in Bournemouth, and she was elected as the District 1110 Environmental Lead for this year. I've been working closely with Ros, talking about how we can encourage Rotarians in the district to focus more on the environment and how we can have more of an impact on the environment on a district level as well. So I would like to invite Ros, if you are there, to share with us a couple of minutes on what you are doing with the environment on the district.
Thank you, Luke. I'd like to say good evening to our special guest, the president of Winchester Club, and everyone else who's listening. Thank you, Luke, for inviting me to your environmental showcase. I feel really honoured and privileged to be part of our district environmental committee, and privileged to be the lead person. This year, Rotary decided to make the environment our 7th area of focus, and I was immensely pleased because the environment means a lot to me. I'm very, very passionate about our planet, our local area, and our environment. Climate change is unequivocal, a huge issue. In fact, it's the greatest crisis of our world. It's bigger than the current pandemic. And it's never more important for us to understand what we're facing. If we don't do something about climate change, the consequences are dire. We rely so much on our planet and our natural world. And I feel so ashamed of what we're doing to our beautiful planets. Now, district-wise, we have formed a committee, and we are still carving out a strategy. But essentially, what we'd like district to do from now on, we have a 5-year plan, and we are looking as a Rotary organisation to support and work with local councils. We are looking to support all the organisations that are working on the environment. We are looking to provide education, and we are planning to provide time and expertise. We put together a survey, and at the moment I'm still waiting for other clubs to complete their survey and forward that to us. Once we have all the survey back, we'll then analyse it and put a proper strategy for the next 5 years together. I want Rotary to be at the front of and leading the change for the environment and for the climate in this country, in this district. I feel that we're starting to make headways. Our clubs, several of our clubs have real good, substantial projects that they're working now with organisation within their community to create a change, to create an impact. We'd like to start working with the younger generation. We want to hear what they have to say. We want to work with them to create a change. In my opinion, if we don't do something now, we will really miss that target. Our planet is hanging in the balance and it needs us to create a change. And in closing, we have got a beautiful, beautiful planet. It's given us so much and it's time for us to give something back. I know that Luke has got other speakers and I don't want to overstep the mark and take up his time. But Rotary is moving forwards and we are going to be up there with the United Nations, with the World Health Organization, with our local council, with our government, trying to meet zero net targets. And we will be doing as much as we can in our environment. And so please, 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 wherever you are, you can make a change. You only need to do simple things like cut down on plastic, simple things like reducing your wastage. All we want is for you to really engage and help. You can make a difference. I'd like to hand over to Luke.
Super. Thank you so much, Ros, for sharing that with us and for joining us today. Let me just bring the screen back. Oh, wait, I don't want to thank you just yet. There we are. Sorry, I'm still learning. Okay, we've got to go through all these. Still learning how to PowerPoint and Zoom at the same time. I am getting there. So thank you so much, Ros. Oh, yes. So thanks so much. You stole my next point, which was the fact that Rotary International have announced the environment as a key area of focus. This is really brilliant news, and more than 18 million in foundation global grant funding has been allocated to environment-related projects over the last 5 years. Creating a distinct area of focus to support the environment will give Rotary members even more ways to bring about positive change in the world and increase our impact. So it's not just us in Winchester that are putting the environment at the forefront, but it's happening on a Rotary International level too. I'm not sure how many of you know about Rotarian action groups, but obviously across the world of Rotary, there are Rotary action groups, which are collectives of Rotarians across the world who meet based on a common interest. That common interest can be anything from diabetes to anti-slavery to heavy metal music to environmental sustainability. If you go on the Rotary website, there's a directory and you can look at all of them. There's hundreds. I'm part of the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, which is SRAG, which you can look at their website, which is here. And I've connected to a few Rotarians across the world looking at international projects that they're running as well. So we're doing a lot on a local level, on a national level, and on an international level as well. Now, I would like to hand over to Joe Crocker, who is a volunteer and coordinator for Winchester Green Week 2020. Please take it away, Joe, and let us know a little bit about Green Week this week.
Good evening. Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Firstly, can I just say thank you for the invitation to be with you this evening. And I'm learning so much and really appreciate the chance to kind of connect with a group that obviously has values that are really constructive in a world which this year feels quite challenging, and in particular to hear about your environment work. So thank you, Luke and Ros, for that outline. That's been really great. So yes, I've just got a few minutes here to talk to you about Winchester Green Week, which is this week, and this is our 3rd year for running this festival, I like to call it, but it's so much more than a festival. As Ros has already said, although we use the word environment and it gets talked about a little bit like an issue or an interest, what we're talking about here is stuff that is common to all of us and all species on this planet, which is the air that we breathe, where our food comes from, our interconnection. And so Green Week came about a few years ago. As I say, this is our third one, as a collaborative project between different organisations in the city to try and put a spotlight or a focus on work that goes on all the time across the district towards a more sustainable future. Not that we can tick the box within 1 week and think, well, we've done that bit now, let's move on to other things, but to really pull together in a meaningful way and be a catalyst for change. So our Winchester Green Week is sort of based on sustainable development goals, in particular sustainable cities, protecting land on earth, working in partnership, acting on climate change, and the fifth one that slips my mind right this moment could be the biodiversity one. Anyway, those are the 5 we pick out. And I'm really delighted to be able to say that this week more than 30 organisations across Winchester District are putting something on in the programme for Winchester Green Week. So key partners are Winchester City Council, Winchester Action on Climate Change, Churches Together in Winchester, the university, but also local businesses, environmental groups. And our approach is very much, we're a bunch of volunteers, 6 of us, who feel passionate that this kind of a thing is valuable in our wider community. So we coordinate anything that fits our aims and objectives, that can be a contribution into the programme. So I urge you to go onto our website, winchestergreenweek.co.uk, to see a programme of more than 50 events which are going on this week, put on by all sorts of organisations. There are lectures, talks, films, wildlife trust workshops about trees that are in season at the moment, and local businesses that are trying to run sustainably, wanting to promote an alternative but completely viable way for us to be living in this space, living well and knowing that what we're doing is not damaging. So I really feel excited and heartened that, as we've already heard, a year where challenges could overtake, so many people have pulled together with the aim of looking ahead and thinking these issues which were there before have not gone away, we can still act on them. I particularly wanted to draw your attention to a new thing we've got this time, which is a Thought for the Day series. So it was lovely to hear your thought for the day at the beginning of this meeting. I think there's always place for just pausing and feeling thankful and trying to look at a bigger picture. So we've engaged some of the thinkers in our place to do a little thought for the day each day of this week. That's something new for this year. There are things on excuse me, on waste and recycling from some of the organisations that Luke already mentioned. Hampshire County Council has put together a presentation about their current work and new initiatives coming up, and Plastic Free Winchester, Refill. So just the programme is worth perusing, and you may find things you know about and very likely things that are new to you. So we really value your support as an organisation, both in terms of this week, like a chance to talk to you tonight, and about potential future work as the year unfolds in ways that maybe we haven't yet worked out. But I do think a crucial thing in terms of our collaboration and connection on sustainable future is that we allow for emergence and we allow for new things to come forward because of that joint work and joint effort. That's what Green Week is about, and from what I've heard this evening, I think there's great potential for us working together. I think I'll stop there, Luke. Is that okay?
Super, that's perfect, Jo. Thank you so much. I hope that everyone is either on the website right now or once we close this meeting down, are able to look on it and join Green Week this week from the comfort of wherever you have your computer. My last slide was just a slide that said thank you, so I think I can do that quite capably without PowerPoint. So I'll just say a huge thank you to everyone for this evening, for joining the meeting, to our guests, to our president, to district governors, and all those that came from far and wide to hear our talk today. It was a lot to take in, I know, but I just thought it was very important to share with you the story that we've been able to put together in this last year. It's been a real roller coaster for me, for the committee, obviously for this club, but just as always, as I always say, I'm incredibly grateful for the continuous levels of support, encouragement, and enthusiasm that's always shown towards me by this club and the members of this club and the district, because it's thanks to that really that we've been able to get all of this done. So I'm very, very pleased to be within this club and to have been able to get all these things done in the last year. And I look forward to hearing any thoughts and comments on the grant initiative that we talked about earlier, and then any other comments or questions or thoughts or anything you want to share following the presentation this evening. I'll leave it open now. Not sure how you want to coordinate questions being asked. I'm using my phone for Zoom, so I can't see the whole list of people. But if you do have a question, just raise your hand, and I'm sure someone will notice that your hand's up and will direct you to ask that question.
Thank you, Luke. We've got about 5 minutes for questions for Luke and on environment matters, or indeed Ros and Joe, but hopefully mainly for Luke. But before we do that, let's just give Luke and Ros and Joe a huge round of applause, and thank you for all your efforts, Luke. Okay, yeah, 5 minutes for questions. If you can try and raise your blue hand, for those who know how to do that, blue hand down the. Yeah, you work out what you're going to have to do for your blue hand. I can't explain it at the moment, but blue hand or wave your hand, and Ian and I between us will look hard to see. So starting with blue hands.
Sandra's waving her hand.
Yeah, thank you. Luke, I have a couple of questions actually. Because
Just one at a time for now, please, Sandra.
Yeah. Okay, Richard.
You can ask me then. Just call me later, Sandra.
Thank you. Look, because Rotary is such a wide, fantastic organisation, has anybody been talking, and Ros, you might know about this as well, about lobbying the government for more recycling facilities? Other countries are actually run out of stored waste and are producing the most fantastic products from their waste, and we're really poor at this. They reckon Germany's 50 years ahead of us. So you know, is that something maybe that we could do as a whole organization, lobby this government?
Absolutely. I think that go ahead, Ros.
What a wonderful idea, and why don't we get together and create a project and yes, get behind it and lobby the government. I'm with you. Why not?
Can I just also add that we all know the wonderful Jane who works out in the Philippines, and she has a massive information about international recycling projects, because she's been all over the world looking at them. So she would be somebody else to include in that conversation, Ros.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you, Sandra. I think lobbying the government is certainly important, but I think that what we can do alongside that is to do what we've been doing in the last year and start putting the things in place that we want to see by using Rotary. I think you know, we can create the change that we want to see by setting up projects, setting up events, and supporting organisations that are doing that work already. And that is something that we're trying to do now in the Environmental Committee, just seeing what's out there, seeing what's there in the community, and seeing how we can support those. But lobbying the government is important. It's, you know, it might work, but I think alongside that, obviously direct action is incredibly important as well.
Thank you.
Got a question from Brigadier Mike Caldecott.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think that's a brilliant initiative. And I'd really like to help where we can. As it happens, NATO's largest catering school is here at the Defence College at Worthy Down, just 2 miles north of Winchester. And we end up throwing a huge amount of food away because the chefs under training prepare it. Not everybody can eat it. We're not allowed to take it off campus. There's health and safety rules around that. It breaks my heart. And can we perhaps pick this up offline to see if there's something we can do on that front. And also because we have thousands of young trainees pass through here every year. They are the millennials, they are the future generation. I'm desperately keen to get them involved in worthwhile initiatives. And this is the sort of thing that I think they'd really like to do. I mean, I can't speak for them, but whether it be planting trees or one of the many initiatives you set out there. So I'd really like to connect and see how we can take this forward, because I think there's a wealth of opportunity, not least of which is to reduce wastage. And another thing, my team have a strategy to become carbon neutral here over the next 2 or 3 decades. And that in itself is quite a challenge. I'd quite like to work with you on that. Over. Oh, over is radio speak, by the way.
Thank you so much, Mike. Actually, to answer your question, I'd really like to just invite Tia Binstead, who's a member of our district Rotary Club. Tia set up the TZ Easy Meals organization that we're going to be working with on Wednesday, packing meals which have been using surplus food. So maybe Tia could tell us a little bit about how she set up that company, and it might be able to create a connection on what you can do with your surplus food. And obviously we'd be very keen to continue the conversation after this as well. Maybe we can help you. So Tia, if you'd be comfortable just sharing a little bit about how you start, what you do and how you started, it might give Mike and some others some interesting ideas on what to do with their food waste.
Hiya. Yeah, I don't know if anyone can hear me. I also have boyfriends watching, so really sorry. So we end up getting all of our food from Persia. So Mum started up with myself during lockdown, again getting the sort of surplus food and everything, and just seeing what we can make with it. Like I made a sticky like jerk chicken with marmalade, and you just end up with a load of offcuts. So yeah, and I like that idea, sort of like I said, having that leftovers and going, yeah, but what can you do with it? Like you can't just lob it in the bin, it's still edible. So yeah, that'd just be interesting. I'm really bad at these things, so that's all I can say now.
Super, thank you, Tia. I can connect Tia and Mike together. There may be a connection there with TZ Easy Meals and the
Yes, please, Luke. Could I just quickly observe that the lion's share of the food waste at Worthy Down are meals that have already been prepared, either stock meals or fine dining meals, as we train chefs from all 3 services on every level of catering. And as I say, for health and safety rules, we've been prohibited from taking them off site. So we, for example, wanted to give them to the night shelter, but we were told legally we were not able to do that, and we weren't able to bus. We weren't able to bus cohorts of homeless folk into Worthy Down to consume those meals, because we're a training establishment full of young, vulnerable people. I mean, there's all sorts of complexities around that, you can imagine. Sure. So I like, it's a knotty problem, it's a wicked problem, but I do want to work this through. I cannot go on throwing away tons of excellent food that the public purse has paid for and that military chefs have prepared. So let's pick up this opportunity and let's see it as an opportunity. Over.
Sure. Thanks so much, Mike. Just get my email through whoever you were contacted through, and you're very welcome to give me an email or a call. Over.
Could I add something there? It's Joe.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Just, it's not really solution, but the Winchester Food Partnership is trying to get more established and is an inter-organisational food-focused initiative. And I wonder whether there might be people within that group, which Luke is already connecting with, who might be also looking at this sort of a thing, but maybe on a slightly smaller scale. But, you know, it's worth having that conversation. And the second thing was, if you have set carbon neutrality plans, many organisations are doing that across the district, and not least the City Council and County Council. So again, as is bubbling up all over the place, we are not on our own. And I think the power for change comes when we really bother to invest in working together on it. So to put minds together to try and answer, as you say, some of these wicked problems, complex things, not with simple answers necessarily, but with shared answers.
Okay, thank you for that, Joe. We'll pick that one up outside. Excellent discussion there. JJ, I know you've been persisting in trying to get asked a question. If you could make it short and the answer even shorter, that would be great.
Very quick. Yeah, first thing is many thanks for everything you're doing on the environment. It's absolutely brilliant, and you're raising public awareness. Ros, I think your fact that you're targeting the young ones is really important, so please do keep that up. But the other thing I would say is the underlying problem with the planet is the overpopulation of the planet. Population is growing at 1 million every 5 days, and the biggest difficulty is that nobody will talk about it. And until we can get people to talk about it, it's going to be difficult to solve that solution. Over and out.
Thank you, JJ. And that was, as it wasn't a question, it doesn't need an answer, but comment, point taken. Thank you very much. So Luke, Ros, Joe, thank you for that. I hope that everybody on this, whether you're a Rotarian or not, feels enthused, even more enthused than before this talk, about what we can do to help save our lovely planet. And we do need to support Luke and the team and everybody else in Winchester community who is working on the environment. So please think about what you can do. Look at the website. As Paul Russell, I think, has already got a note out. I just looked at the website that Joe was talking about for Green Week. It's a fantastic site. Lots going on there. And actually, we should all be trying to do something this week.